Welcome back to Who the Fook Are These Guys? Mako Shark, we are proudly presented this year, 2024, by Delgado's Tequila Soda. It is the seasonal liquid. It is greatness at a can. You cannot get better liquid in a can, Mako Shark.
Absolutely cannot, Matty. And it's exciting to be here, mate. We've got a huge episode coming up. We've got Jack Jenkins in studio. I'm excited, mate. We talked all about it. Talked about the injuries. Talked about the possible comeback. We're hearing UFC 300 is a
murmurs
potential.
of a poo story?
We've got poo stories on the bus. You want to hear about a poo on a bus, Matthew? Stay tuned because it's coming up with Jack Jenkins. We're going to talk all about UFC 297 today. It's all happening. It's coming at you right now. It's Who the Fook Are These Guys?
Cheers and a sip.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Alrighty, Who the Fookers. We are back again as always, and we have a very, very special guest of the pod back with us again, live in studio. It is our man, none other than the Bacchus Marsh Mayor himself. It's Jack Jenkins. How are we, mate?
Good. Just fresh off the pub for UFC 297. 297. One of the most mediocre cards I've ever watched.
So you've almost forgot the name of the...
Yeah.
It was that forgettable,
I
wasn't
will
it?
happily forget watching that card.
We were ready to just come barreling in, start the year off with a big bang, big bonanza of a fight card, Matty. It probably didn't live up to it.
I think the Arnold Allen fight was good.
It was a high-level affair, wasn't it?
Yeah, Arnold Allen is really good, and that Ev Lviv is obviously now one of the top guys, 3 or 4, definitely. And that's one that I watch with kind of a fair bit of interest to see what's happening in my division.
There's a bit of controversy with those knees.
I thought they were legal.
I thought they were legal too.
100% legal.
It probably shouldn't have got stopped when it did.
The unified rules, my understanding of them is weight bearing, and if they put it down deliberately so that you can't knee them, and you lift, so you move an upward motion to bring their weight up and then knee, then that's fine, right? And all 3 of those knees, he went lift, knee, lift, knee, lift, knee. So I thought they were clean.
Yep.
But obviously Goddard didn't see it that way. But he's looking like he can only see what he can see, right? Which is why I think we have to have some kind of third-person ref who, as soon as a time gets called, right, they get a replay immediately and they go tick, 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 all clear, back on.
Bit of this one, you reckon?
Or, exactly. As soon as a time goes, you don't even have to ask for it. If you call time, we go back and watch. And if they said it was a nut shot, but it actually was a body shot, back on.
Yeah, straight
back on. No.
Yep.
But, it's hard to implement things like that.
Because he got the time to recover, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
And then continued on his merry way.
Yeah, and I thought it was legal. And I thought he 100%, the only reason he put his hand down was to go, if my hand's on the ground, he can't knee me. And the reason they brought the weight-bearing rule in was so that you can't just use that hand as a reason
advantage.
not to. Yeah.
You talk about the skill of lifting and kneeing. How hard is it? We're not fighters, we've told you a million times, but how hard is it in the heat of the battle to even remember that you can lift and then knee?
Yeah.
It must sometimes there must be shots where you just go for it and then go, fuck, I made a mistake. But like the skill and the mental fortitude of you guys to be able to think, lift and then knee like in the heat of the battle is insane and probably very underrated.
Yeah, for sure. Like even all of your shots, you're kind of operating in this like, it's essentially no holds barred. Like you can do whatever you want, but then there's all these little rules like you can't do this, you can't do that. And like even little things like you don't know how hard it is to not grab the cage. Like every ounce of like if you go to fall over and you want to catch yourself, every fiber of your being wants you to just grab onto something to 100%. Hold on. And then you're just taught like you cannot do that. You cannot do that.
You can seem to get away with one though. Have you ever thought I can get away with one? So if I'll do it once.
Yeah. Like I've not thought that, but you definitely can get away with one.
Yeah.
There's no part of me that thinks like, fuck, I better not do it because like if you have my favorite example of it ever, you have to go back a while, but if you're a student of the game, you'll remember it was the first ever Jose Aldo Chad Mendes fight. And Chad Mendes was coming in, he was 10-0 undefeated, and he was fighting against Aldo. And he got in on this deep takedown. And it looked really, really good. And he lifted Aldo up and went to turn him. And just as he was about to hit the deck, Aldo threw the hand out, grabbed onto the fence and dragged himself back up.
Yep.
Right.
And it was like, oh, that should have been stopped, should have been a point. And then the next exchange, I don't know if you boys remember it, but it was the one where Chad's on Aldo's back and Aldo hips forward, breaks the hand grip, and as he turns around, he throws the knee as Chad's shooting again, and it knocks him out.
We are students of the game. I remember that.
You remember that?
Yesterday.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I know. So you watch that one and you go, we go one frame back from that, and not saying that would have changed the outcome of the fight because Jose Aldo has great ability to get back to his feet and everything, but it's like when it's in the next exchange that you get KO'd and the exchange before a rule was broken, you kind of go, what could have been?
And we're just riffing with no real plan here, but I'd just love to know, when fighters get the opportunity in a title fight where someone's landed the illegal knee or the legal strike.
John Jones, bloody Lionheart sort
and
of
they get the opportunity to win the title that way. As a fighter, what do you reckon? Do you reckon it's part of the sport, you've made a mistake, I should be the winner? Or do you like the sort of, no, you haven't done it, we haven't done this legitimately, let's keep fighting?
Fuck no, I'm sorry, mate, bad luck.
Taking it.
Don't break the
Aljo
rules.
style, yeah?
Don't break the rules.
Well, and he got a lot of hate for that, but technically,
It was the right move.
No, I didn't like the hate. Like, I think where he went wrong was he went like, put the belt on the ground and was like, I'm not the real champ. I don't want to win like that. And when they cheered, he was like, no.
Yeah, okay.
And then he went back to his hotel room and he's like raising the glass with the belt.
He flipped the
and it's
script,
like,
didn't he?
It was just changing it. That was the only
And
thing.
he's not that likable overall, I don't know.
No,
That didn't help
We
him.
saw him in Sydney, though. He was
Decent
putting on a
fella.
dance clinic.
Yeah, he was putting on a bit of... He was getting a bit crunk in Sydney.
Was it King's
Hooker.
Cross?
Yeah, right.
Aljo was
Ricochet
putting on
was
a
good.
real
Yeah, he got
clinic.
crunk late night Sydney, but
Fuck.
he did cop, I reckon, a bit of unwarranted grief for that.
Well, I just think like you look at, was it Smith?
Anthony Smith.
So you look
Should
at
have
Anthony.
taken it,
You
mate.
look at
Career's gone completely the other way, isn't it?
well, you look at Anthony Smith and you go, if you had taken that, like your win bonus probably was 300 to 400.
It's true,
right?
actually.
So
Automatic.
that's changed your whole life instantly.
Yep.
Right? For 99 out of 100 people, you've instantly changed your life with
Yep.
a $400,000 check.
Of course.
Right? And then you go, and when we come back for the rematch, I'm on the pay-per-view points now.
Yep.
It's probably not going to sell well because of how it went down. But
Could be a bit of eyes
you
on it,
could
though.
try. You could go, well, he'll break the rules again, make some shit up and try and get it sold.
Yeah.
And then you come in, you're the A side, you have your champ show money,
mate.
and then you have your pay-per-view money, and you could get a few endorsement deals. I'm the champion of the world, and it changes your whole life. And in saying that, it's like, oh, it's the bitch way to do it, whatever. Fuck you.
That's
You're not
right,
in there
yeah.
fighting.
That's
like,
true.
And he like, fuck you. And anyone who was, I don't think there's anyone who's, like, I don't think you're catching like an Anderson Silva or anyone being like, oh, pussy, fucking, you shouldn't
No
do
one's
that.
ever
Because
been
we
in
all know, like, we're putting our lives on the line every time we go in there.
Absolutely.
And there's no guarantee that you're going to leave with $1 in your pocket, right? And that's the reality. So I'm going, and I've had this conversation with my coaches. I'm like, if that ever happens and I'm like a little disoriented or whatever,
Go for it.
fucking, you're telling me,
out
stop,
of it,
sit down. And my coaches are all that they go, we would be pleading, stay on the floor. And that's not, if you're getting beat, right, and you're getting beat fair and square, we've all got, like, by the time you get to the UFC, you've got that dog in you to
Yes,
go
correct.
like, I'm in a fight, I've got to go here, right? Like, we've all got that. So it's not like, I have no qualms being like, you broke the rules, I'm going to take advantage of that.
Well,
it's like-
AFL blokes don't, when they get a 50, don't go, look, that was a bit soft, that free kick. I'm going to have my shot from
100%,
55
100%.
in the breeze,
And
like
now-
on the corner. No, actually, take me to the goal.
Yeah, take me to the square.
And he's had a moment of like his pride or his ego. And, good on him for that. But like looking back on it now, he must regret it.
Oh.
He must. And now he's on camera now telling everyone that Jim Miller can beat Brock Lesnar. So like,
Come on. Did you see that?
where's Anthony Smith
haven't seen
like
that.
that? You got to see
Oh,
that, Jake.
God.
Get that.
Haven't
up
you
if
seen
can in
that?
the booth.
He was on the Bisping pod and he said that Jim Miller could beat Brock
100, he's
Lesnar.
looking
And then
at-
Bisping was like going, what the fuck are you talking about? Then he went, what about a street fight? He went, oh, street fight? Fucking annihilate him. And Bisping's
He
like,
can't have been serious.
No, he was.
On the pod right now, he was 100% serious. Who would you have in a fight between Jim Miller and Brock Lesnar?
Oh, well, like, I feel even stupid answering the question. Like,
No, he swore up and down. This is why I think maybe the knee to the head.
right.
yeah. Probably some
got-
CTA.
Well, have you seen the old video when they had Anthony Smith had his stint doing like a bit of commentary and analysis and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
And the McGregor vid?
Yeah, get this off my
Get
TV.
off my TV.
What is this? That's one of the great pieces of
That's
footage. I think it was Smith talking junk and it was Bilal
Yeah.
on the same
And
panel.
he's just like, the best is like, he's like, what is this? But then you just see that like, like he's just laughing at
He's
it.
got one of the great ha-has, actually.
So good.
Fuck, I love him. He's an absolute...
Kardashian trademarked the anus. Or was it Lopez? He should trademark the ha-ha.
He should trademark a lot of things, Connor. Yeah, that was a good piece of footage. But What are we even talking about? We'll get back to it. UFC 297. What else happened today? I reckon it was a bit flat as a card. Let's talk about Dricus Strickland.
Australian.
How did you see that going? I couldn't pick it during the week. A lot of people asked me, how do you see it going? Who have you got? And I couldn't really. I was 50-50. I lent maybe a little bit to Strickland. And I felt like it was going pretty well early for him, but just didn't quite get it done, did he?
Well, I've got to give Duplessis credit because my thing with Duplessis was when he beats people, I never found him to look rather impressive. I thought that people he fought looked average and there was always a bit of an excuse, right? So like Darren Till wasn't in a good way. He's at middleweight, sloppy. Not fit, and he did it in a way that didn't look super impressive. And then after he came off the win against Whittaker, I was there at the card. And I just remember the only thought I had was that wasn't Robert Whittaker.
Yeah.
Like the only thought was, and I just kind of spoke to my coach about this. He said, no, I think Dricus just has a style that forces people into these, unorthodox, uncomfortable positions. And then, he knows how to fight there. And I thought, I reckon Robbie was injured. I thought I was keeping that safe in my head going, I reckon Robbie's foot was injured and he wasn't moving properly. Yeah. Right? And I thought Whittaker looked smaller than he has previously. I thought he looked more lean, but I don't think that in a positive light. I think he looked more lean in like
more fragile.
Not robust enough.
Yeah.
Right? Then now I've got to take all that on board and go, I'm probably just wrong there. And Dricus probably just does have this style that forces people and makes them fight his fight.
I think that's probably true both ways, but I think Rob has come out and said he was a bit underprepared for that fight. I can't remember what he exactly said. And I don't think he was making excuses, but I think he was a little bit proppy going into that fight.
Right.
That's what he's come out recently and said.
I just am a big Rob guy, so I didn't want to think he did it that easy, but now he's the champ, so it's kind of odd.
Still doesn't make sense to me when I look back.
First 3 rounds today, we were looking at each other going, how do you even score this?
Yeah.
But then it probably felt like he got ahead in the late.
Well, I still had Strickland as the winner, to be honest.
Did you?
I gave him 1, 2, and 5.
You're a pretty good judge, to be fair. We've often said you got one of the great minds.
Analytical mind.
Yeah, I had him as 1, 2, and 5. And obviously the 2.
You had him in the last?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and obviously the 2's gone the other way.
Yeah, I'll be honest, whenever we watch at the pub, mate, I couldn't tell you what the hell happened.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
A couple of blokes in Woodstock jackets. We're like, where the fuck are we? It was.
And we're on the corner of bloody Victoria Avenue and Brunswick Street. There's some interesting characters that walk in the pub every now and then. So like, my attention is diverted at all times.
You're
sort of looking and
keeping my head on a swivel.
Well, we were looking at in the Magni fight. We were starting to get excited about our dabble tips.
The Magni fight,
we were thinking ahead, going, how well have we done this? We were chatting, we look up, and then all of a sudden, old mate's on his back getting spifficated. We're like, what happened here?
Old mate Mike Malott, the burger with Malott, he was dominating that fight. 10-8s, I would have thought, across the board early. And then I look up, all of a sudden he's on his back. He's out of petrol tickets.
Yeah.
Just so you know, you don't have to keep holding that can. You can put it down if you I know you're
What happened there, Jack?
Staunch Delgados, man.
I just think Neil Magny's a veteran and he's never done until he's done. And obviously people have seen that Neil Magny, long stance, skinny calves, is susceptible to that calf kick. So it was jab and low kick. It was a really simple game plan. It seemed to work. And then spent his tickets and I think like it's hard. Once you start winning a fight, you start thinking about, sometimes if you're not right in the zone, you start thinking about like, how's this win going to be? What am I going to do next? Blah, blah, blah. Like even, and it's like, oh shit, I'm still in the fight. And then all of a sudden you're tired. And then you got a guy who's very good at what he does in Neil Magny on top of you trying to take your head off.
When the burger with a lot was kicking him early, we actually said, how do you reckon the magnifying glass would stand up to a Jack Jenkins leg kick? Because
we were actually going to put you up against Magny at some point.
We start going like, he can't take a lot leg. He can't, even though it's completely outrageous. But I wonder how he actually, because he keeps like, he looks very susceptible to it.
Yeah. Even though every time it hits him, he kind of does the stanky leg, like
he does,
like wobbles a bit.
And I know as a fighter, and we keep saying we're not, but you're not supposed to give tells, are you? You're not supposed to let someone know it hurts. You're supposed to smile and go, or not even do anything, right?
Yeah,
I remember. He keeps doing the it's sore.
I remember one fight. So you know how we talk about the calf kick and the dead leg? Mm-hmm. You know, Jimmy obviously has gone through it. Like so I've had it once in my first title fight with Diego.
Yep.
I was in Orthodox and we'd both been kicking the shit out of each other's legs and he landed one and I remember instantly, like it was unbelievable. If you've never felt it before, you can't describe it. It is like you just lose a limb instantly. Like you
It's
don't.
not there anymore.
It feels.
So the brain's not sending something to
So
your leg.
I would say like right now your leg feels normal, your foot feels normal, your leg feels normal. When they hit it, it's like they take all of the parts of your body out of the leg, but it's still there, and they just like fill it with sand, right? So it just, you're aware of it being there, but it's like it's not part of you anymore.
God.
And I remember I just said to myself, I went, go to Southpaw and jab, and just try and keep your weight on your front leg. So I was in Southpaw, weight on the front leg, and I went, how long is this going to stay? And it came back after about 30 seconds. I started to get feeling, and then I swapped back, and I was like, all right, I'm back again here now.
Hell yeah. When we interviewed the Volk for about 42 minutes, I had my leg crossed like that. That's right.
You got the perennial nerve.
And I was a bit nervous. I wasn't sure where the camera was. I didn't want to move my leg too much. I legit didn't move it for 42 straight minutes. And then my leg legitimately went dead. Very similar, obviously, what you felt.
Yeah,
in
the
5.
self-inflicted one. Though.
And then I put my leg down and I couldn't feel my foot at all. 100% gone. I nearly fell over and hit the Volk.
And he goes, you've hurt your leg there, have you?
I was like, it's dead, Alex. It's actually gone dead. Not an interesting story, but...
It was one of those you had to be there. But imagine
obviously-
falling onto the Volk after interviewing for 42 minutes and you actually fall on him.
But how do you think Magny would? I thought he was going to be career over. I was actually writing his obituary, probably cut it, Neil. But then I've never seen a bloke with less petrol tickets than Malott today.
Yeah, it was bizarre, but like sometimes the moment just gets the better of you. And obviously he was carrying a fair bit, being the only Canadian on the main card. And I think they haven't had a really good fighter.
They went, I think, 0-6 or 0-7, the males today. Only the two of the females, Jazz Devicius and Gillian, won, but all the blokes, all lost.
Gillian's American, isn't she?
Good question. Done my research. Was it only
can you do a quick check?
Gillian
Jazz Devicius then might be the only bird?
So 1 out of 9.
They've had a stinker of a day anyway, Canada.
And being the top of the card for him and having a little bit of hype.
But it was a terrible day for Canadian MMA. I could only imagine the vibe in the crowd because looking at the Aussie cards, obviously we're up and about when all you blokes win, but as soon as one bloke loses or falls over and fucks their elbow, I tell you what,
I was telling this story. I was telling my girlfriend this story the other day, and she was kind of like, oh, fuck that guy, that's mean. But he definitely didn't mean it in like a negative way. But I was out and this guy came up to me and he's like, oh, Jack, like, lovely to meet you. But I'm like, yeah, you too, mate. And he goes, oh, mate, I got to tell you, in Sydney, like after you lost, my day was just ruined. And he goes, I feel like the whole crowd, it just ruined the day for everyone after your fight. He goes, he goes, when you came out, there was this big
pop,
vibe, it was pop. And he goes, and then you lost, and the card never recovered from that moment. And Britt, she's obviously very defensive. She's like, fuck that guy, saying like you ruined the day, blah blah blah. And I was like, no. I think he was saying more like the way that the loss happened I think everyone was right around me, and then it kind of flattened the vibe out a little bit.
I'm agreeing with that guy.
I remember when that happened, and I turned and he was pale white, like flat. I'm like, it's all right, Mick.
It wasn't just multi-related.
I'm like, he's a young man. He'll be bounced back, and then I'm like, what's wrong? And you're like, we had him across like 8 multi. They did have a care for him, but it was just quite funny because I'm like, it's okay. He's a young fella. He's probably popped his elbow out. He'll bounce back.
Yeah, 100%.
And he was just like, and I'm like, what's actually happened? You go, cross 8 multis.
I thought you'd snap your arm.
But we're in the fighter section, all the friends as well. Yeah. So when you did get hurt, like obviously there's a lot of people that know you and all that, but like it did suck the air out of the stadium. It was unbelievable. The card didn't recover either, really. It went weird from there. That Sydney card.
Yeah, I think so too. Sydney, I was saying this like, I actually said this, my coach and I were talking about it, and I said like, I'd love to go back to Perth.
Yeah.
I'm like Perth was the good. Hotel was a better vibe.
Yeah.
The location,
everything about Perth. The UFC staff. In Sydney, we had a half contingent. So it was half European staff, half Canadian staff. Whereas in Perth, we had the whole Canadian team, right? And the whole Canadian team, they're like smooth like butter. Everyone knows exactly what they're doing. There's no there's no like, whereas in Sydney, it felt like quite disjointed. Like you didn't know, where am I supposed to be? What am I doing? Like, who do I speak to about this?
That wouldn't be good either, would it?
No, and I'm not saying this impacted the result or anything like that, but it was just that Perth was, you know, when it's so smooth and they've just ticked every box and it's like this event is just mint versus little things aren't the same and you notice.
Even the location.
The location was trash. You want to hear
shocking.
It's funny. You want to hear?
Sydney's
You'll
no
love
good,
this
mate.
story. I don't know. You might have heard this story already, but I was telling somebody the other day, right? So we all get put on buses from the hotel to go to the weigh-ins, right? And we have to go out to friggin' Homebush, which is like, for those of you who don't know, it's
so
like
far.
in traffic, it's 45 minutes
minimum.
out of the city, like 45 minutes
Sydney
to an hour.
traffic is just fucking no
trash. So we get on the bus, right? And we're going out there. Everything's all well. We all get on the bus. And then as we're leaving the stadium, right, I see like a bit of like something's going on with a few fighters, right? A few fighters, their coaches, like maybe a few managers are involved, and they're like talking to the UFC reps, and no one's like arguing, right? But it seems heated.
Yep.
It seems like they're having a discussion about something. And I'm looking around going, what's going on here? Like I just couldn't understand what was the problem. And then I saw like Bam Bam, Jamie Malarkey, like all these boys, all these boys just like start waving. They're like, see us later, we're out. Like we're going. And they booked it out like to the crowd, like out to on the road. And I'm like, what's going on? Like how are they allowed to do that? Like we're not allowed to leave unless we go on the bus, right? And then I'm like, sweet. So I just go get on the bus, and
Good fella.
we got on the bus. Yeah, I'm a fucking company man. I'll tell you this much. But we got on this bus, right? And I got on the bus. I'm like, what the fuck?
What's happening?
This stinks like
Someone shit on the bus.
I'm like, this stinks like fucking shit. I'm like, can we get on a different bus? I'm like and they're like, nah, we're leaving now. Like the other bus is already gone. Like we're leaving now. And it's me. It's like me and Justin Tuffer, and it's just us. And everyone else has gone, fuck this, we're gone. And I'm sitting with Justin. I'm like, what the fuck is that smell?
Feces.
And then we found out the red corner. They'd gone to Homebush, so we were on a different bus. The red corner had gone to the stadium. They're on the freeway, right? Driving to the stadium. Bus driver pulls over into the emergency lane, gets up and runs up the middle of the bus and goes into the toilet on the bus and just rips the bathroom to shreds. And what I'm thinking, and what I'm thinking is, what I've put two and two together is the bus has been hired out for like a 45-minute charter. So they haven't even got the toilet switched on properly, right? They wouldn't have it done for a day. So it's just sitting there,
decomposing.
right? It's just sitting there.
Festering.
So all the other boys, they were on that bus originally and they're going to the UFC. We're not getting back on that bus. There's no way. So they've all jumped off and got Ubers with their teams and families and stuff. And I'm on that bus for like an hour on the way back, and it was unbearable. The smell was unbearable.
Company man. He's a
Mate, Taffa wouldn't have put up with that shit.
Mate, Taffa was like, gee, what the fuck is
What's going
this?
on here, bro?
And I'm like, mate, this is fucked. It was so bad.
What about we had Taffa at the live pod?
That was Junior.
No, we had his
Oh, no,
brother.
he come
his
in,
brother
Justin
came
come
in
in.
just had a feed the day before he fought at the Sporting
He
Globe.
was still reeling from the shit. Can we get a name on the driver and let's expose him publicly on
No,
the
but
pod?
the thing is, the worst part was when I've walked on the bus, I had no idea. I hadn't put the situation together yet. And I'm standing at the front seat and I'm just losing it. I'm going, what the fuck is that smell? This is fucking revolting. What is going on? Get me off this. Get me on a different bus. And he would have just been sitting there. He was sitting there in silence, just dealing with
He
it.
knew exactly what he had to eat the night before.
How good's that in his head? He's like, it can't be that bad. And then you get on and sleep. What
mate.
the fuck is
It
that?
was so bad.
Decimated a bus of UFC fighters.
It was so bad.
Jesus, the UFC's had some problem with buses, haven't they? Connor
Malarkey or Ty should have given you a heads up.
Mate,
Like, give me a bit of a
I actually
chop
haven't
there.
spoken to any of these
Not
boys about
good
it because
enough.
it took me a while to like piece the different parts of the story
Help
together.
a bloke out.
And then, but anyway, Sydney,
Unbelievable.
and then Sydney has happened, and I just remember thinking that the Sydney didn't match Perth.
Nah.
And then my coach kind of called me out and he goes, well, mate, let's be honest. He goes, look, you left Perth with a really nice W and, you left Sydney in an ambulance. That probably maybe is like clouding.
Skewing. No, well,
Probably clouding your vision a bit. And I was like, yeah, you're probably right.
no. Obviously, we're coming from a completely different
We didn't
perspective,
have
but
a shit bus.
in every single aspect, it did not match up to
No,
Perth.
100%.
The entire week didn't. Everything
100%.
about it, from the fight card to the crowd to the location to Perth had a magic about it. I don't know if it was because it was COVID and we hadn't
One of
had
the
an
best
event.
events
for
I've ever
years.
been to in any sporting.
magic, wasn't it?
I probably put a lot down to Volk as well because Volk is just so
But all the
beloved.
Aussie boys had a good result too, the whole way
It
through.
was just a good day. Volk, that whole event will go down in history as one of the great days, I reckon, in Australian sporting history, even though he didn't get the win, Volk. But as a whole, that entire event
Crowd was hot.
was magic.
Yeah. Well,
Which
even-
Sydney couldn't compete.
The weather was better.
Yeah.
It was close to the city. Everything was better. It was better.
Everyone I've spoken to, like people who have seen their teams win grand finals, all sort of stuff, have said that was the best sporting event
Yes.
they've been to.
And I've seen a
obviously,
few, Jack.
oh yeah, and obviously, yeah, fucking hell. And obviously for me, as a on a personal level, I was like, you'll never take that from me. I'll always have that.
Yeah,
like
man.
my debut, all of my friends were there, most of my family was there. You know, it was through an unfortunate circumstance. But one thing that was really cool for me was Raja Shippen was supposed to be in my corner. And unfortunately, Raja ended up needing surgery like the day or two before. And I rang my brother, who was my first coach and was in my corner for my first like 7 fights.
Older or younger?
Older. So I got into it because of him.
Yep.
And I rang him and was like, oi, send me a driver's license. And he's like, why? I'm like, oh, I've got to register you in the Perth Commission. And he's like, why? I'm like, oh, because you're going to corner me. And he was like, oh, bullshit. Like, so he got to walk out with me and we got to do that together. So it was on a personal level, I'll carry that forever.
Can I say, well, not just because he's a friend of the pod and he's here, but when you did walk out in Sydney, I reckon the pop was huge.
Sydney, yeah.
We got chills. Did you, like, in that moment, I know you're locked in, did you realise, fucking hell, like, I've actually, like, you're on a superstardom type, and it's all by yourself. You haven't got a manager. Look, we've talked about this. We giggle about it, but you've set out a game plan. You've set out a goal. You're obviously on the path to do it, but we're not just saying this. It was when he did come out, it was like the stadium, the roof blew off.
Outside
and we actually had the goose pimples.
I reckon you get down that
You
next
think
level.
this is the next star?
I
Did
think
you feel that?
Yeah, Jenkins has a bit of a fucking pop about him.
Even in Perth for my debut, I got the same comments who they said there was 3. It was Volk number 1, Dalla number 2. You were a clear
And
3.
for a bloke on debut.
Yeah,
which is
on debut, and Dalla obviously hometown. And I've always said, like, wait until I get a fight in Melbourne. Like, that'll be like, because
I think that's because of all your extra stuff you do, or do you,
like extra
stuff.
stuff.
You're very like. We always say very good media wise. Like, you're very good to the fans.
Astute, I reckon.
You're very astute. You're there. You're visible. Is that something you've set out to do, or is it just your natural?
Well, I don't say really no to many opportunities. Like, I prioritize things that I think will, further my standing in terms, right? Because you can only fight this year if I'm lucky. Like, if I'm lucky, I'll have 30 to 45 minutes in the cage.
Yep.
Right? So if you put that and you go, right, I've got 45 minutes and that's the only thing I can do, and I'm not going to put any time into learning or studying or taking feedback on how I can improve in other areas, then you can, if you're really confident your 45 minutes in the cage can take you where you want to go, then by all means, don't worry about it. But if you think that you can do things extracurricularly that will be able to help elevate you and elevate your standing in the sport, then why would you not do that?
Absolutely.
And I've been pretty big from the start. Like, I love taking feedback on, like, oh, do you think when I speak like this, that comes across well? And it's not about necessarily changing who I am. It's just like trying to shine light on the parts of me that are endearing to people. Saying what I think all the time rather than trying to sit on the fence with things has helped. And obviously, just trying to foster that what people see when they watch a potty or whatever is exactly what they get when they see me in real life, which I think out of all the things I do, I think I stick true to that the most. Like, I've got people now, like I could name him, right? There's a bloke named Bobby Kearns who, like, after Contender Series, he came up and saw me. We're at the rooftop at Flemington. Yep. And obviously I'm with my old man, friends I've grown up with. I've had a belly full. And Bobby comes up and goes, oh, Bobby and Jesse, and they go, mate, can we get a photo? I'm like, yeah, of course. Why don't you just, like, stick around and have a beer?
Yep.
And they go, yeah, oh, mate, sick, unreal. So we have a beer and then we're, like, getting along really well. They say, see you later. And anyway, I'm like, me and my mates go, oh, well, we're going out tonight. So we go, leaving Flemington, we jump on the tram. We're on the tram with Bobby and his boys. And Bobby goes, mate, I'd love to come to Perth. Just like, no way I can get tickets or whatever. Like, fuck, you can't get tickets, mate. Here we go. Like, you sort it out. So Bobby's now got tickets. Yeah. And I left
pretty loose and lazy with the code, aren't you, Jack?
Mate, I am, no, family and friends only.
No, that was friends. Looks after people, look after him.
Exactly.
Family
got a lot of friends. And anyway, They were my personal tickets, not the code.
Correct.
Okay.
And anyway, so then a couple of months later, I've checked. I was just going through my message requests. Had this message from Bobby, and it was such a nice message. It was just basically saying exactly that, which is, mate, like, thank you so much. I went with my mates. We had one of the best weekends ever. Hope to see you again at the races, but like, you made our weekend, and we just wanted to say thanks. And you beauty, how good's that? Like, it was a great weekend, blah, blah, blah. And then he ended up, like, we're great mates now. Like, I'll message him once a week. We'll talk shit, go down the pub, watch the footy together.
Yep.
He came to my tap the bookie day and that sort of thing. And I try and carry that through, like, everything I do. And I think those kind of things, people
can tell.
People take that
100%.
for sure.
Yeah.
And going to the pub and having a Delgado's or a beer, that's still part. Like, obviously you're an elite fighter. You're there to make a career of it and be the best in the world, obviously.
Yep.
But you still have that side to you as well with your mates, and we've got 3 or 4 of them out there.
Yeah, sitting out there. Just
quiet
chilling
down a little bit.
they're all
But
right,
like, I think that's also what cuts through with the people. Like, you can tell you haven't changed since.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
like a
you
lot
can
of
never
people
make
do.
new old friends.
No.
Well, like, I've had.
That's deep, I reckon.
I like
Yeah.
that.
Can we unpack that?
Yeah. Oh, well, I've had the same friend since I was 4 or 5.
I'm the same. I've had a bloke over last night I've known since I was 2.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm 39, right? So
Yeah.
it's just like,
And like, even today, like, we were sitting there, and you know, I'm not drinking or anything. I'm just there at the pub with the boys watching the fights, and it's just, you just piss yourself up. Like, there's nothing better than hanging out with your boys.
That is true.
And
we
it's
did say you actually forgot we were going to try and get him to do a Theo Strickland moment. So maybe you can push on the friends a bit more and get him to
That's right. Yeah, we were going to do that.
try and get you to cry on
Obviously,
air.
you would have
Cry-
seen
crying on
yeah,
air.
we've seen
I'm-
Sean
I'm
Strickland
alright,
break
crying.
down
He wanted
in
to cry
tears.
on air, so now I reckon his triggers his mates.
The thing is,
Let's dig deep on the mates.
How
the
can we
thing is,
get
we can
you
talk about my mates, but like,
to
I
break
think
down
about
on
Strickland. Like, I'm so blessed. I had the most trauma-free,
Yeah,
pleasant,
That's what we.
How
we
pleasant.
actually-
Boring.
pleasant childhood.
You
Like,
must have been sitting behind us because that's what he said. He goes,
I reckon
we've
he's had a
chatted to him a
ripping
few
childhood.
times. He seems like he comes from a great family.
Great
He's had a
parents.
great education. He's got great friends.
Great parents.
He's just like, he's well
Like,
spoken. There's no
one of
there.
the things in it, and you know, people, and so they should, right? People who come from rough backgrounds
Of
and get
course.
themselves into a great position wear that like a badge of honor, and they 100% should, because it's a testament to them.
Yeah.
And I'm on the other side of that, where I had like unbelievable parents, great siblings. My aunties and uncles all played a big part in my life, and even down to like, you look at the people who my parents selected as friends, who were the kind of people who were always around when I was a kid.
Yep.
And they're all great people too. And you know, I try and wear that like a badge of honor, like the people that my parents had around us as kids who play an influence on how you grow
underrated
up.
aspect of growing
Yeah,
up.
for sure.
Yeah.
And I think like when I have kids, I want to try and do the same thing for them.
Yeah.
I'll give a shout out to Mrs. Jenkins too. She's a big fan of the page.
Big
Follows the pod.
Big fan of the pod. How
I
is that
love her.
one? So I put up a post. This is great. Mum loves it. So I put up a post. I said, what card was it? I was trying to get on Fight Week in Vegas. I ended up on the week before.
Yep.
But I was trying to get on Fight Week in Vegas, and I put up a post and I was like, drop a horse emoji for International Fight Week in Vegas.
Absolutely.
I think it got 700 comments,
Yeah.
right? 700 horses. My mum went through and individually
she's the
liked
best.
every single
Good on
one.
her.
And it's
She's
like,
salt of the earth, I reckon, Mrs. Jenkins.
great person.
She's a rip snorter.
We like the parents, like the pod, don't they?
Love the pod.
I
Mr.
love
Croot,
it.
Mr.
Mr. Croot, Mrs. Croot. I
Again,
appreciate
another
them.
like
Good.
Gary Croot, another
Gary
great
Croot
human.
is just saying,
Great
I haven't
human.
met him, but I can just we actually have met him in
We
Perth.
have met him.
Absolute salt of the earth top operator.
But this is what
Superstar.
annoys us too with the mainstream media sometimes, like with this fight game, you know, it's all barbaric. When you see
you're all
stock
mugs.
like yourself and you see the families and the education you've come from, it's so different to what they try and paint. It's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah, well, this is like another thing. You boys know I love the horse racing.
Yes.
So I get it all the time at the horse racing where you get introduced to like different people or whatever, and then you sit down for maybe 20, 30 minutes in half and get, you speak pretty well for a fighter. Or like, you speak pretty well
You're
for someone who
not
fights
You
in the
speak
UFC.
very well. I mentioned it a lot of it.
But I think it's more of a shock to them because in their head, their perception of someone who would fight in a cage is someone who
meathead.
is a meathead.
Yep.
Right? And I have meathead tendencies, don't get me wrong. Like I think we all do, but
very
it's always
thick
good to get
calves.
with. Yeah, massive
Well,
callous.
any bloke that can throw a kick and break another man's leg, you've got a little bit of meathead
Yeah,
tendency.
sicko in you.
If I did that, my leg would snap the other way. But you are right. It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, that's one of my biggest things about trying to expose the sport to more people. We had Melissa Leong on here, obviously ex-Master Chef, kind of. She was just on KO as well on the main event show last week. Shout out to her. A lot of people are like, why is she doing this? This is bullshit. What would she know about fighting? It's like people can have more avenues to their life. Like just because you're a famous TV presenter who's a cook and a chef, and doesn't mean you can't like fighting.
You should want people to like fighting.
100%.
Grow the sport.
Well,
It's ridiculous.
there's a lot of people who like their MMA fandom
It's shocking.
have it, and it's like they have this protectiveness of it. Like, I've liked. It's like the people who I liked that band before you. Like, it's the same that
Gatekeeping.
they've been the MMA gatekeepers. They've been the MMA fans for longer, so they're like, oh well, your opinion's wrong. What would you do? And it's like, well, mate, fuck
Sometimes
off.
just a fresh set of eyes.
That's
Is
100%. Well, just fuck off.
Yeah,
That is the
shut
answer
up,
to
cunt.
it.
That's the wrestling community, isn't it? The wrestling community is
It's
one
everything,
step
though.
further. They're
It's-
so
It's like
nuffy.
the
Like,
music community, it's the
Yeah.
fucking wrestling community, it's MMA
I
community.
like heavy metal, but you like pop music, but
Yeah.
your music stinks. It's like, well, that's just stupid.
But like, yeah. But you know the blokes who are those blokes.
yeah.
Are the blokes who have no idea.
No
True.
idea.
You know what I mean? Like you never catch like you got guys in Australia who are very high level understanding of the game. Like maybe never got in the UFC, maybe they did or whatever. And then people who have been around gyms all the time, none of them are commenting on shit being like, stay in your lane, mate, or
exactly.
anything like that. Like you'll never catch, imagine Volk being like, hey mate, like fuck, stay in your lane or whatever. Like it just doesn't happen.
Well, imagine when he just did cooking with Volk. Melissa reached out and said, can we do cooking with Volk? He went, hey, look, you do the dessert masters. I'll do the cooking with Volk. Like,
Exactly.
Of course he's going to
people
collab
have
with.
MMA community. I don't want to spray our like fan base, but as a whole, the MMA community is pretty like
trash.
pretty.
But no, that's
There's a
not.
lot
That's
of-
wrong.
not
That's wrong. No.
trash.
I'll caveat that
Small
for you.
minor-
I'll
do a
caveat that for you.
Yep.
Right.
They wouldn't even know what the word caveat means.
The
Jack.
internet, the internet community is trash.
Trash. Yeah,
right?
yes, correct.
So if you go on the internet, you are dealing with
garbage.
people who are out, and that, like I actually enjoy some of the trolling. Right, I enjoy some of the trolling. Even sometimes it's directed at me. I have to have a chuckle and go, "Fuck, that's a good one." Right? If you go on the internet, you understand that this is the lowest of the low. The internet sucks. It's a terrible place to be. Right?
Yeah.
MMA community in general, like if you're at events, if you're getting around,
Probably
great
would.
people everywhere.
No, that's
great
fair.
people.
That
Like
is
it's just
absolutely fair.
the internet brings out the worst of the worst in people.
And that
Well, we had the problem when we had the Volk on and we put it on YouTube thanks to the great cook out there, our man. And we're looking at the numbers and then he said, don't check your comments. And I'm
No, we
every
had-
minute I'm checking the
we had
comments.
overwhelmingly positive feedback
but
on
they're
the Volk,
also
but
like,
Reddit.
geez, you've sucked that bloke off.
Reddit
Like,
seems to
well,
be
of course we
the,
have. We love him. He's our goat. But like,
Reddit's the bad one.
I made the issue of reading every single comment.
Yeah, we're getting accused. You're like, who are these fucking
Well,
hosts?
I
Why
don't-
don't you
yeah.
suck him off more? I'm like, of course we're sucking him off. It's the Volk.
Yeah, I read comments at the start, and then I've got to the point now where I don't really read comments on anything I do or any video clips I appear in or anything because I just thought it doesn't matter at all. And even like every now and then, my partner will be like, "Oh, did you see this comment?" And I'll be like, "No," and don't
read
tell
them,
me.
don't tell me.
Don't tell me if it's good. Don't tell me if it's bad. I just don't want to know because it has no impact.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't know about it, they're obviously not important to you, really, because
Exactly.
they haven't had the opportunity to
And
tell
then,
you.
and then she goes, "I know you'll like this one." And she goes, "You'll like this one." I'm like, "What is it?" And it was a photo I put up, and some blokes just commented forehead. I've got my hair slicked back and he going forehead. And
Forehead.
I went, you know what? Fair enough.
Not a bad
Fair
forehead.
enough.
What's the go behind that?
Oh, I don't know.
What's the go behind his forehead? Well, it's his
think it
body,
looks-
mate. It's his anatomy.
It's a fine looking forehead.
Great forehead. Great head of hair, great slick back.
Why
No.
is someone commenting on the forehead?
Oh, I just thought it was a funny comment. Like he's taking it. He's
it a
taking issue with it.
positive
Fuck, if they're going on
negative
his
forehead.
forehead, imagine what they're going with me.
Nah, you're all
As long
right.
as they don't see the slug. There'll be a
Hey,
lot of-
before because we actually want to ask him about
we do.
anything else that stood out today. It was pretty.
Yeah, we're supposed to do a UFC 297 sort of recap.
No, we don't have to recap everything. But before we move on and actually ask
Yeah,
him,
what else?
Is there anything
from
that
today?
stood
From
out?
today, no. Look, I only watched the main
It'd be
card.
hard
so
to give out the bonuses today, wouldn't it?
yeah, I think like Arnold Allen and that. I would give Arnold one.
Yeah.
Fight of the
him-
night would have gone early. It was, what the fuck's his name? Siddy versus Tavares. Did you see that fight?
Is that the Ukrainian?
No, I was-
Ukrainian Canadian.
Canadian, Ukrainian.
Yeah.
They were like a couple of dudes from Contender Series. It was City versus Tavares. I can't remember their first names, but that was probably fight of the night.
Yeah, I
they
was a
went
bit-
to war, those two dudes.
Yeah, I didn't see the start, but
And
no.
Jazz Davicius, the Canadian Dale. That would
Well, he said she was.
no, that was
Gillian.
Gillian
sorry.
might be American. We'll still get Coco on the young Jamie. If you
Coco's
pull that up for
ass.
us, I'm not sure if she's American or Canadian. We'll get to it, but
He's sleeping out there, Coco.
yeah, the red hair one, Canadian. Here we go. Vindication.
Gillian Robertson.
Vindication, mate.
No,
know
she is
about
Canadian because I did remember the commentator say she's.
Yeah, because she was fucking oath she was Canadian, Jack. Apology, please.
I reckon Jack's going to sit on this.
Character flaw if you can't admit you're wrong.
No, all right. She's Canadian.
Yeah, there we
righto.
go.
Okay, so he's just said, get up
Anyway.
and take a kick. See if you want. That's a character flaw if you want to take a kick.
No,
I don't need to take
could
a
be fair.
click, but
I just know she was trained by Din Thomas since she was like 16. So I just don't know how she could possibly
maybe
be
she
Canadian.
moved. I'm not sure. We could probably get stuff
Oh, no,
on
you're
this
right.
form.
Canadian.
There you go. There you
Hey.
go. Yeah, here we go.
I stand corrected. Apologies, everyone.
Beep, beep,
we
beep.
go.
That's Jack
sorry,
reversing.
Gillian. But she's from Niagara Falls.
Very on the border, you reckon?
border.
Yeah,
She
border.
can kick a footy over into
border.
the border. All right.
Like probably, yeah. Anyway, Canadian though. Canadian passport. There you
There
go.
wasn't much else
I was
that
wrong.
was there.
Nah.
Wasn't a whole lot that stood
rough.
out.
Like we
Jimmy
will-
the fucking flick
I think after
stood
today,
out.
I will never talk about UFC 297 again.
I reckon scrap it from the record, to be
What
honest.
about the ticket and flick it?
Ticket and flick it. Our man, Jimmy Flick. Your man, Matty.
My man.
Done.
He was getting fucked.
I texted him.
Did you see
after
that fight?
Third,
What?
no, he said he didn't
Jimmy
see.
Flick,
he didn't
no.
say. He didn't see anything.
Didn't watch anything apart from the main card.
But we watched a minute, and I texted him and I said, this is the only bloke I've ever said this about that's a fighter. I reckon we could beat Jimmy Flick, me and you. And then
no good.
shocking, but then he pulled off the
won.
prayer.
Yeah, he pulled off a prayer. He was getting pieced up by Malcolm Gordon, who stinks. Has a negative fight IQ. It was just wrecking him on the feet and then just got taken down and submitted like Hail Mary.
It was odd.
Yeah.
Shocking
Good on
fight.
him.
And he started doing the Hulk Hogan to the crowd. The first fight of the night, so that set the tone
Right.
for the Canadians, the poor.
Yeah, it was a bad night for Canadian MMA.
But we should move on to Jack and let's get a bit of an update on him. I reckon.
Obviously, we've got
He's
Jack
here.
here.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about you, Jack.
Yep.
We've already
Be a
probably done
waste,
that,
wouldn't it, to
but
have him here and not talk about him?
obviously had the elbow injury in Sydney.
Yep.
We'll probably get into that a little bit. Recovery had been going well until
Yeah.
potentially how are we feeling until we
Like
feel
last
now.
week, but look, in the grand scheme of the elbow, you can't expect to just injure it
Straight.
and then you're
course
you're
not.
going to have your little ebbs and flows with
Yep.
it. And I haven't done anything catastrophic up
Yep.
to it. My just one thing, the reason I'm upset about it was, so basically I injured the elbow. It was a torn MCL, torn LCL, torn extensor tendon. So it was a fairly serious injury.
Of course.
But there's a couple of positives out of it. When I went to the doctor, I had to wait for the swelling to go down before the sports doc would see me. And he looked at the MRI and he'd been worded up by, the people around me to watch the footage and that sort of stuff. And he'd watched the footage. And I went in and he kind of said, look, all right, let's test your elbow out. Do this, do that. And he's like, mate, you're a freak of nature. Like, I cannot believe reading your MRI and then seeing the footage and then marrying that with where your elbow is at 2 weeks afterwards. I can't believe it. Like that you're in a really good spot. And I was like, well, that's good. And then I was super diligent with my rehab. It was obviously I don't have a job, so I fight for a living.
You do have a job.
So when you can't do that,
You got one of
well,
the
I
best
don't have a
jobs.
regular job. I fight for a living.
Yes.
So I would wake up in the morning, go to the gym from 10 to 11.
Yep.
And it was pretty much exclusively elbow exercises.
There we go.
Right? It
Elbow
was
focused.
just like this, little bit of other stuff. Like I was getting serious.
You
Like
said those blokes
What
in the
about that
gym
one?
Yeah.
used to get the bar
Plenty.
behind him and do the forearm one.
yeah, no, heaps of stuff like that. I was doing wrist curls and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff, getting the strength back in it. And then I have a really good physio, Anna from 40th Physio, and she's got an electric strength tester, so testing how much weight I can take through different positions. And every week we were just seeing like my curl, my push, my internal rotation, my external rotation. Every number was just getting better and better and better to the point where we went, right, you can go back to the gym. And we had like a 6-step program. It was like no contact, but only when you're on the bottom and only against lighter opponents. Contact, but you can go on top, but nothing from the feet. The last stage was from the feet very light, and then kind of the 6th stage was back to normal training.
Yep.
And basically I've been back at that 6th stage of full training for the last 4 to 6 weeks, like somewhere in between that 4 to 6 with a couple of days here and there. And then I had spoken to Volk and said, mate, love to come up and get some work in with you, sort of thing before this. And obviously Volk and I get along like a house on fire. Like I think he's a great person.
Mm-hmm.
I love hanging out with him. I love learning from him. And I'd said to Volk, mate, can I come up? And he was like, yeah, love to have you up. We'll sort it out. We'd all organised Wednesday night. Wednesday, packed my bag up. I had all my training gear.
Like a kid before Christmas.
Got the brand new Kia Sorrento, courtesy Kia Warrnambool.
Shout them out. Lovely vehicle.
Clinton Bosch Motor Group. Yeah, I brought you boys down here.
What's the address? Let's give them a
Clinton Bosch Motor Group.
Yep.
Warrnambool Kia.
There might be a scratch on the left-hand back door, though. Like, I
We
think
haven't told Coco
brand
about
new
this. You got
car.
no-
Fuck
you
with
picked
over
him
here
up.
opens the door straight into a bin.
I think that
Like
come
a
off the
metal
fact-
bin.
A
too.
metal, it was the loudest smack you've ever heard.
And then he's like, nah, well, why'd you
Hey,
park
most
here?
of them will buff right out, Jack.
He had the audacity to go, why'd you park here? Move forward.
Give me 6
I
inches, Jack.
couldn't believe it.
But if you knew him, I've known him since '97.
Hey, Jack, you shouldn't have
That's
parked there,
it's
that's
a lot of good with him,
uncharacter.
but you take the clumsy.
Yeah, no, that's
and he's
fair,
a big
that's fair.
cutie. He's all right.
Yeah.
He didn't do it by hate.
And
He
look,
did-
to be fair, Kia's built tough. built
correct, mate.
good.
And I looked at it. To be fair, there was nothing there.
Yeah, no scratches.
So it
or
took a
anything.
big
So
hit.
all's well that ends well.
Bit of car
But
Uber wax.
but I had the car ready to go. I was fueled up. I was going for the drive. Went in Wednesday night and just last round of grappling, and it's just gone. It's just kind of gone out on me a little bit. A tweak is what I would
So
call it.
not catastrophic.
Not catastrophic at all. Like it's like I said, you can't expect to come back from such a horrific injury and not have a
bit of
little
scar tissue or something in there?
Yeah, a little scar tissue or something. Just
Yep.
a bit of inflammation has stirred it up again.
Okay.
If it wasn't a day out from heading up to train with Volk, it wouldn't have even registered a mention probably.
No, like if this was a normal and again, like you're an MMA fighter, you
get hurt.
have these things all the time where you go, that hurts, I'm not going to do that for a bit, or this hurts,
Yeah,
whatever. But it was just that in the scope, I was so excited to go up there, and you would I was going to be a sponge, learn so much from him.
yeah.
And there's a potential, I'm the same height as Topuria, and I have quick hands, so it's like there's a chance that I could actually add.
Yes.
Right, and I could
course you
definitely, given my skill set, I think I definitely could have added.
Definitely.
And
Young
I was
bull
really
too, looking to-
I was really excited to go and be part of it. And then kind of this happened, and it just the world falls out from under you for a bit. You're like, oh, what is this?
And obviously Volk won't lose, right? But if he does, probably the blame's squarely on you.
Jesus. How's this bloke? First and foremost, completely destroys your car
My
door.
car.
Let's be honest.
You save him an Uber, destroys your car door, and then he's blamed you for a potential.
Unbelievable.
Obviously
He's a
not,
bit
because
rude,
Volk's
isn't
going to
he?
fucking steamroll him.
Yeah, I
but
think Volk matches up really well against him.
The thing is, though, like getting back to it, it's right. Like you would have gone there, you would have added value, but it would have been great for you.
Would
wouldn't
have
it?
been like
unbelievable.
definitely. I'm on the A side of benefit on that, right?
Yeah,
like
you were
Volk definitely Volk definitely would have got something, but I'm getting more.
100%.
And anyway, yeah. So there's still a chance that it'll come good in the next 4 or 5 days, and I'll be able to go up for his last week.
Yeah, get another week.
But if it's not, when I spoke to Volk as well, he's been there through all of this, and he goes, mate, don't rush.
He's all good with it.
Don't be stupid. Like you don't want to. And the
Be
thing
nothing
is,
worse than going there and then really
exactly.
hurting you.
And the thing is, at my gym with my training partners and you know these guys who I'm constantly working with, I can go in and say, hey, Mason, I know this is your sparring rounds, but do you mind if we just kickbox? Because I can't afford to post on my arm today.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, mate, no worries. And then I can go, hey, Sam, mate, can we just go 50% because I'm just coming back? And he goes, yeah, no worries.
can't be doing that
Whereas
up there.
I can't go up to Volk's camp. Colby's getting ready. Volk's getting ready. Joe's got their program set for him. Hickman's over there doing their stuff. I can't go up there and be like, hey, boys, I know we're getting ready for a fight, but my elbow's a bit sore, so do you reckon we can just lighten it up?
No
So it's
chance.
just no point.
No.
So I'm just upset, but life goes on. And the more that I look back at the injury, I just think it's going to be a blessing because I got to there was so many things that happened in that break. It was the first time since I was about 21 where I spent more than a week outside the gym.
Yeah.
Like I've never spent more than a week really without training.
Yeah.
And even when you're not there, you always have this kind of pang of guilt in the back of your head of like, should I be doing more? Should I be out at the gym? Should I be hanging out with friends and stuff? Whereas when it was kind of forced by the elbow, I just went, you know what? There's nothing I can do apart from my rehab every morning. So outside of that, just enjoy some time. And I really did. I took advantage of it. I had a good break. And then by the time we got to that sort of progression through the stages 1 to 6 of coming back, I was like a bull at the gates. I was like, let
And
me
it would
back, let
freshen
me
up
go.
everything else.
Everything else.
Your whole body otherwise would just freshen right up.
100%. In the I had 4 fights in 11 months from Contender Series to Sydney.
Must be
right?
walking around sore
Yeah,
at all times.
and in that I broke my foot 6 weeks before the Sydney fight.
Jesus.
I had I tore my MCL at one point. I had a staph infection. So like you have all these things, and then you just go, well, you know what, a little break's going to be good for me. And then now, like I was back Wednesday morning, I was bouncing out of bed. I was loving training. My coaches are really good, spending time with me, and you know, I still think it's going to be the best thing that happened to me. And when I come back, it'll be, you know, sort of a 2.0 version.
And what perfect world? What does 2024 look like for you? How many fights?
I want 3 fights.
Yep.
I want sort of April timeline, so 300 or maybe one after 300.
We spoke about, I think, 300, haven't we?
Get
Yeah.
him on. Dana,
Yeah, get
you
him
watch
on.
Mick
Well,
Maynard, Sean Shelby, get him on.
My pitch for 300 is pretty simple. I think like you can give me someone like a Nate Landwehr, Nate the Train. He's coming off a loss. I'm coming off a loss. I think he's 4-1 in the UFC. I'm 2-1. But similar record overall. We're not going to grapple. It's not going to be boring. We're both going to stand and bang.
Swinging and banging.
Get the crowd going.
I'm on my first contract still, so you get me cheap, right?
cheap.
The top end of that
Cheap
card
is
is going to be
cheap.
so expensive.
Yeah.
So fill out the bottom of the card with someone who's already got a relatively good profile for someone who's 3 fights in.
Absolutely.
Is still very cheap for you, and you know you're going to get a good fight. So I think that that makes sense to me. But obviously they do their own thing, and I'm not going to tell them how to do their job. But if they wanted to,
Company man, as we've said, you're
exactly.
still a
Company
few
man.
spots open
Just a
for
nice
300.
suggestion.
Still a few spots, but 300 plus, sort of like that April area. Then come back and there's whispers, unconfirmed, of
potential Australia.
Perth in July.
Ooh, breaking. No one said that, but maybe.
Perth in July, I've heard whispers of.
Yep.
So I really hope that's true because as we spoke about, Perth, the GOAT city.
He's doing well.
And then after that July, I would love to have a fight like end of September, start of October.
Yep.
Coincidentally, like fight, and then just as spring carnival starts, maybe have my break for the year
Yeah,
then.
sounds like a
Right?
plan, doesn't it?
Yeah. And then, so 3 fights this year. It was good last year to have the 4 because I think that being really active in your first year and getting your name like established as a UFC guy is
you did.
important
Yep.
rather than having 1 and a big break and then 2 and then a big break. But now this year I want to have the 3 fights, 3 wins. I think that'll put me like pretty squarely inside the top 10.
Absolutely.
Do you feel pressure, right, of putting on performances? Because you come into the UFC with this big rap about being the leg breaker and all this stuff. You said you don't read comments either, and your Dale obviously does here and there, but I start seeing a few comments here and that now. Like, there's almost like this weight of expectation on your shoulders to go out there and break fucking legs every time you fight. And there's some people going like, he hasn't fucking broken a leg in 4 fights. Like, shut up.
Well,
Like,
no, you remember that? I think you
Do you
guys
feel
remember
pressure?
that bloke who's like, this is all. I think you guys were on the comments
I
where the
would've
guy.
clicked
It was on the
whoever it
dabble
was.
one.
Yeah, I
the
clicked
dabble
it.
where the guy was like, he's like,
Yes.
his profile pictures
Yes.
is him like standing
Yes.
like this, like the Muay Thai guy.
Fuck
He's
off,
like the Muay Thai guy, and he comments, he's like, this guy's never broken a leg. Like he made the he's
get
made
in here now
he's
and
made the
really
whole- he's like he's made the whole thing up. No one's ever
he's made
confirmed
the
this,
whole thing
and I'm
up.
like, like you have to laugh, and I'm like, well.
conspiracy theory.
Like,
The
well, it is
Jack leg
confirmed,
breaking
like
theory.
confirmed by the guy's legs who I broke have told me at times and that sort of thing. So
hell.
it's pretty funny, but you do get that. But again, it comes back to I promoted that. I use that as one of my
As a springboard,
tools,
yeah.
like as this is what I can do. So I can't then be on the other end of it and be like, oh, there's expectation on me.
Yeah.
I put that expectation on myself. So
Yep.
I'm not worried about. I go out there and do what my game plan is. Based on what me
Yes.
and my coaches have worked on. I'm not worried about what other people are telling, got to break more legs or got to do this. But I definitely think like the UFC want what the crowd wants,
Correct.
right? And the crowd wants exciting fights that are finishes. My fight in Perth, super exciting, right? It didn't get a finish, but it was an exciting
it
fight.
was.
Like
Great
the
fight.
highlight of me smiling at him going, what?
I love when he got you with a kick and
Yeah.
you went, wow.
The payback with
Let's-
injury.
Exactly one. That one.
clip.
There's like that one. Have you seen my favorite TikTok of me? Isn't of me fighting. It's just this this TikTok of me walking out. You have to clip it with this, but there's a TikTok of me like walking out, and it's some lady. I think she's in Canada or America, and the caption is like, okay, ladies, so we watch UFC now.
Oh,
And I was like,
big sex.
I was like,
big sexy.
here we go. This is the kind of
I reckon it's
publicity.
the stash.
That's the kind of publicity I'm looking for. Like, don't worry about the leg breaking or anything like
Just
that.
imagine what the girlfriend's replying to with that. She's
Yeah,
going,
don't-
Oh, she loved it.
Oh, well,
Of
that's
course,
good.
like,
then.
Bit of a head wobble on her after that one.
fucking
My
hang
man's
on.
a fucking bit of
Here we go.
crumpet.
Throb.
Here we go.
Big piece of
Big,
crumpet.
sexy
Yeah,
piece of
it's like
crumpet.
it's good because the 5'7" doesn't come across on TV. You know what I mean?
It does when you stand next to us. I feel a bit weird how tall we are. It's actually
Yeah,
ridiculous.
you boys are large
It's
lads.
silly.
But we did
Actually,
speak how funny it would be if
But-
we got to start on you. Like if you was
Actually,
on
talking
your
about
back.
this
We, we spoke a lot today. If you were on your back
he
and we
wants to
just
know.
got to dead weight on you, how quick and embarrassing it would be that you'd be up on
he's
top of us.
6'6",
Yeah, it'd be pretty
probably
quick.
100 and what?
I'd be anyway. I haven't
You're
weighed myself
6'6",
in.
how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4" and 6'6".
Yeah.
How much room did you guys have in the back of that Kia Sereno?
Minimum,
Heaps.
mate.
There was so
I had
much
heaps.
leg
No,
room,
what are you
wasn't there?
talking about?
I was just trying to pump myself up. No, actually, there was tons.
Heaps of leg room in there.
plane is
Comfortable back seat for
Your
a
mate next to me,
family
he was swimming. It was
Yeah.
like he was in the Great Barrier Reef.
Yeah, he's what,
The
6 foot.
Sorrento is
Family
roomy.
SUV. He would have
Yeah.
been sitting like this.
and even the tall
Unbelievable.
bloke who was 6'4" in the back.
Unbelievable car.
Knees were comfortable. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Good sound
Back
system
to that
too.
quick-
Good sound system.
But like, how quick would you be on me
Oh,
if I just dead weighted?
if
Dead weight,
I
110
start, so I
kilos.
start like this,
Yeah, you
belly
start
down,
completely belly-
Starfish.
or
Starfish,
I'm
and I'm on you.
on my on
You're,
my
you're
back.
on your
oh,
back,
okay.
and I just lay dead weight across you like I've passed out, and I'm fully dead weight, right?
You're not trying to keep me
Well,
down
until they.
until they say go. Oh,
then he's strong.
I'd be up and have you in a submission sub 15 seconds.
Can we actually? We can
No, we
almost
can't do
get
it
a
here.
We
recreation.
can't.
No, we don't.
can't.
We said this with the Volk.
I'm happy.
Friends-
No,
friends
I'm
don't-
happy to
and
do
he's-
it. I'm happy to do it when I come back.
Elbow.
Yeah,
when
friends
the
don't
elbow's
submit
all
friends,
good
Mick.
Yep.
and we're good to go. Come into the gym and we'll do a little clip. I'm happy to give it a run.
Just be fun to be that humbled.
Yeah, it wouldn't take a whole lot to humble me.
But then we
or
can do a
Maddie,
ruck
but-
contest.
Yeah. A what? Ruck?
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck you.
That's where I apply my trade.
Yeah, 100. He's very good on the ruck too at 39. This
Yeah.
bloke. Still playing in the country, getting the big squid.
Are you still
A
on the
little bit
big?
of squid, yeah.
Yeah. What league you playing?
The Loddon Valley.
Where's that?
It's if you think like Morong, Bridgewater.
Bit of a mercenary.
Never heard of it.
Not
Plays all-
mercenary at all.
plays all the
I'm a
country
life
league.
member at one club, man.
What club?
I'm a life member at
Where?
Eltham
the
Turtles.
Eltham Turtles.
Shout out Eltham Turtles.
Eltham too.
Yeah, shells on our back. So we've got the Richmond theme song.
You're on the under the
Instead
table
of-
under the table couch from a few local.
No, I played there for
businessmen, or-
free for 13 years.
Yeah, it's a
and then
rookie mistake.
I was taken under someone's wing. and
Got to
said,
go play in like the Central Highlands and that, get the
No,
big
well,
coin.
Bunnanyong's, my cousins all play at Bunnanyong.
Yeah.
They've been trying to get me. It's too good now for me.
It's too good?
Well, there's VFL guys, ex-Waffles.
Yeah.
I'm.
Couple bull out there. Fuck.
You go back.
plays in the-
What you got to do, as you get older, you got to go
You got to taper off.
down.
gotta get the
So is
level
Bull
down.
signed anywhere?
Barwon.
Damn it. Because Monfries has just come on as coach, the ex-AFL,
Yep.
obviously. We've got a bit of squid to spend, so I would have tried to get Bull.
Barwon or South Barwon?
I think he might be South Barwon.
That's Matty Scarlett territory.
I don't know.
Bull
which-
in the brown T-shirt, the bigger guy.
yeah.
He
Yeah.
looks like a bull.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, the one who
He'd
looks
be-
like a bull. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Pretty obvious.
Yeah, you got that one. You got that one right. Yeah.
So we've been cracking on for a bit here, Mick. I reckon we probably
Speaking of bulls, I was actually
Okay.
going to talk about it a second ago when we're talking about.
wrap it up.
No, not wrapping shit up. We're talking about freestyle a minute ago, obviously not going up there, which was upsetting. One of the main reasons would be upsetting is because our man, the Denny Krootmuster's up there. Big Jim, the big
He
Crudy
messaged
pie.
me. He said, "When are you coming up
How
on
flat are
Thursday?"
ya?
He messaged me on Thursday when I was literally on my way to my physio, and he's like, "When are you coming up?" It's like, "Fuck, I'm not coming up." But I'm flat. The thing I love the most about Jimmy being there is every time Jimmy goes up there and you speak to him, he's really happy. He
looks happy.
and he's ready, like he's in the zone, and he's so. I just hope, I hope Jimmy's just out there finding a place where he can just lock back in
thrive.
and be Jimmy and just be, because people write Jimmy Crude off with absolute peril because he's still so young for that division.
Well, remember you were on SEM with us?
Yeah.
Younger than you.
You
he's
said
younger than me.
We all joked about how young he still is, but you said from his skill set, still unbelievably high talented.
He's arguably
and
the
for
youngest
the-
man alive.
And he's young, and particularly he would be young as a featherweight, right? But he's unbelievably young as a light heavyweight because they peak later.
Yeah.
That's statistical.
Yes,
You look at
mid-30s.
mid-30s to even featherweight and below, we're kind of the 30 to 35 window. Above middleweight, you're looking at the 35 to 40
You can go
window
onwards,
as
yeah.
a peak, right? So he's still got so many years to perfect his craft, fix the things that he knows he's got going on that he needs to fix and come back. And he's had only top 15 fights for his
Been
last
fighting killers.
5 fights. So something like that.
He's obviously, we had Colby Thickness on last week. He mentioned how good it was having Jim up at the gym. And he's driven up there. He's just living in Windang or Shell Harbour right now. It is a very lovely part of the world.
Yeah.
I have a sneaking suspicion we might not see Jim back here for a while. Like, you're at freestyle. Why would you leave?
I think
why would you leave?
Good, really good.
Good.
Love that for
So
him.
I'm looking forward to hopefully a big year. Maybe not, whenever it's right for him, but I hope he comes back and starts proving a few people wrong.
Yeah, of course.
It should be lovely.
Yeah.
I reckon we've...
Wrap it up?
Yeah, all right.
We're wrapping this up.
Yeah. We got some good content.
Thanks to Delgado's. Thanks to Big Jack for coming in. We appreciate it. Hopefully, big 2024 ahead.
He's got all his pals out there, mate.
Yeah, you got to get him out. Got to get
I
him
reckon
out
the
of here.
Kia might be on bricks.
We can talk forever.
We did an hour and
You
7.
could talk forever.
Yeah, we can.
Gee, all right. Here we go.
He's busted up the door. He's potting me earlier.
He said it had no fucking leg room.
Yeah, no leg room.
So
I walked him into the Kia promo and he's gone, it's fucking tight in the back.
Unbelievable.
I was trying to talk up me fucking length, but that's all right. All right, let's wrap it up, Matty.
Oh, mate.
All right, boys.
All right, wrap
Thank
it
you,
up.
guys. That was Who the Fook podcast. Make sure you give us a like and subscribe, etc.
Here it is. 100% good media operator.
Thank you, mate.
Bloody root me.
Who the fuck is that guy?